It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the Naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 128 today. Yet another Wednesday extravaganza. When we started the Wednesdays on July 31st, we said we'll do most Wednesdays. Well, we've done every Wednesday since July 31st, and I suppose we'll keep going for a while, but there will be a point, I promise you, we will take a Wednesday off for whatever reason, travel going on, other things happening around us. But we will not take Saturdays off. We will come to you every single Saturday, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on Spotify, barring any kind of medical issues with extended family members that might involve travel far away. But we'll deal with that if it comes, when it comes. You know how life goes in general. You can't predict everything, but you can certainly be prepared, and we are prepared to the best of our ability. But if something happens with a relative far away, we might have to close up shop in a nanosecond, fly to wherever, take care of business, and get back here and resume what we do around here. But right now, every single Saturday, since July 1st of 2023, we've been with you, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on Spotify, and we appreciate that very much. And now these shows, I guess, every Wednesday. Supposed to be most Wednesdays. It's been every Wednesday. But we are glad that you're with us today for episode 128. Come on in. The pool is fine, ready to go. The hot tub is fired up. The grill is going full bore. Everything you could imagine is on that grill in terms of meat. Fruits and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, hot drinks inside, including an espresso machine. If you go out the left side door of the pool area, you'll find a hammock waiting for you. Need a nap, need a quick break? And there's your place to go, a little putting green behind the pool in the back left corner of the pool area within the screened-in area. We have a cigar bar, help yourself. There's also plenty of extra lotion, towels, chairs. We have everything provided for you here. The only thing you had to do was show up, and here you are. And now you can enjoy everything. Clothes-free living for the next hour or so. I have a feeling we're going to go over an hour today because we have so much to discuss, including part 2 of our discussion on the article by DUSTIN COX on his Substack. DUSTIN COX is currently on the board of directors for the American Association for Nude Recreation, the Western region. He's also the PR director, the communications director, does a magnificent job with both. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're in communications and PR and you want to know how to actually do a really good job, follow what DUSTIN COX does. He has his heart in the right place, his head in the right place, and magnificent levels of energy. He does a great job promoting naturism, nudism, clothes-free living for all, and, of course, promoting Anner on top of everything else. So part 2 today of the article that DUSTIN COX wrote about this show, Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. No prompting from us. We didn't ask for it. He didn't ask us if he could do it. He just did it. And I happened to discover it on social media, on Blue Sky. I said, whoa, here's an article about us. And we read it and did a few backflips around here because it's so well written and highly positive about what we do around here. And we thought we'd take some time to feature that article. And if you missed part 1, you can go back and catch it on episode 126. And then part 2 of our discussion and reading of DUSTIN COX's article on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the podcast show. And in the middle, we are going to play a clip for you from Dan and GABBY. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but you're going to be. They run a podcast called the Naturist Vibe. Just got going earlier this year, I believe. But they're also putting on a really huge event coming up on the end of this month, the last Saturday, October 25th, RK Underground. It's in Jersey City in New Jersey. Lots of music, lots of naturism, lots of really good feelings and naturist vibes out there. And we will play an audio clip that they sent in, and we'll do that somewhere around the middle of our discussion about the article from Dustin Cox. Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 128 today, and I'm not sure about you, but I think I hear some music playing. Can you hear it? Let's listen together for a moment. Oh yes, without question I hear music, and that can only mean one thing, and you know what it is. It's time for the great, the terrific, the completely over-the-top, fully clothes-free, and completely smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the completely over-the-top, fully clothes-free, and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing pretty darn good this morning. How about you?
Not bad. I wonder how many of our listeners say that along with me, because I try to say kind of sort of the same thing every week. I change a few words here or there. Instead of fully, I might use completely or vice versa. But I know there are some because they've told us that, and here she is, the one and only. I used to do, in fact, I still do that when people on radio or TV have a certain expression they use or an introduction. When they do it, I say along with them just to have some fun. And I know people do that with us because they've told us. I wonder how many. Probably, zillions, trillions, you think?
Probably more than we realize, that's for sure, because we certainly do get some messages every now and then that string out that name as long as they can.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny. It's funny what people, enjoy, what they get, what they have fun with. And I think maybe that's just a way to jump into the show for them.
Oh, heck yeah. It's, sometimes we get those messages. Hi, Frank and Lisa. And then Monroe is M-O-N, and then 50 R's, 50 O's, 50 E's, just having fun. So, yeah, it's work. It's made you a star. You can't complain about that, right?
Oh, my goodness. I'm ready for my close-up. What can I tell you?
Jeez. Oh, well, here we are, another Wednesday extravaganza. I am personally, this is all about me for the next moment or so, and then we'll talk about you and the listeners and the greater naturism community. I really enjoy these Wednesday shows. How about you? That was far less than a minute, but how about you?
I love these Wednesday shows because it's fun because we do have, just some free time. We can talk as much as we want, but it's just a lot of fun. I enjoy it very, very much.
Yeah, and I know that I personally, here we go back to me again, I personally feel more relaxed on these shows, which makes sense because we're not up against a clock. We don't even look at the clock. It's whatever. And when we're done, we're done. But listeners have told us they've noticed that too, just a different flow, a different energy, more relaxed and more, well, obviously more conversational because that's all we do is just you and I talk back and forth for the most part. And it's really caught on big time with our community as well, along with the Saturday show, right?
And very much so. And I think, the Saturday show, we have X amount of time and we get so many emails and messages from people. It's kind of hard to figure out who we're going to do this week and then more come in the next week. So we have to kind of structure it because we want to discuss what people are interested in, what their questions are, what their situations are. So so we have we have to do this one, we have to do this one. Sometimes we have a third we can't get to, so we have to recycle. And, so I think it's much more structured and we are less likely to just kind of ramble on about something, at least having a chance to talk things through a little bit more.
Yeah, no, and that's why it's worked out with people. They enjoy the flow and the energy and the discussion. It's, we try to make it intelligent, informative, entertaining, and so far that's the feedback we've gotten. And you're right, we don't discuss every email we get. In some cases, might not be appropriate for the show for whatever reason. In some cases, we're asked, please don't share this, but I want to give you this, and if you have any suggestions. So we're left with the ones that are good and appropriate for the show, and they say, yeah, it's okay, no problem at all. But we try to give a good representation when we share those emails on the Saturday shows. And so far, so good, right?
So far, so good. We get a lot of competitive things, but, as far as, if someone doesn't enjoy something that the other spouse does, or, there are issues with family, or how do I do this, or what do I do when I go there? And they're common questions that we get from everyone, and from a lot of people, the same questions. And the fact is that these are the things people are concerned about. How do I be a good naturist? How do I enjoy being a good naturist and not get myself into trouble, or not have a good time? So I think those are the things that are important to us, and that's to talk about what people want to know.
Yeah, and that's why we've caught on, and we enjoy doing these shows, and we're glad that you are with us today, listening to episode 128. Well, Lisa, last Wednesday on episode 126, we started discussing the article that's all about us. So we freely admit that there's no shame here; it's all about us. Dustin Cox wrote this, terrific writer in his own right, whether he's writing about us or whatever he's doing for the weekend. He just knows how to put words on paper that make sense and have a great flow to them, and you can actually feel what he's thinking as he's writing it. But he wrote this article about us on his Substack, and again, the link is in the show notes. And we encourage you, if you haven't heard it, go back to 126 and listen to part 1. And today we're discussing the second half of his article, but we'll stop about halfway through our discussion today because we want to play a clip from Dan and Gabby. We just became familiar with them fairly recently. They host their own podcast called the Naturist Vibe, and they're putting out a big shindig in New Jersey. And I believe on October 25th. We'll play the clip about halfway through Dustin's article, if you're okay with that.
I'm fine with that. It's an interesting endeavor that they're entering into, and I think it's worth hearing about.
So far, what I've heard from them, from their show and interaction through emails, is they are the genuine deal, the real article. They're in this for all of the right reasons, as we are, not exhibitionists, not out there, look at me world, not trying to make $1 zillion under the guise of naturism. They're really doing this for the right reasons.
I think so too.
And and they reached out to us and said, can you promote this for us? And absolutely. And so we'll play the clip today, and then we'll try to mention it on several of the next few shows until we get up to October 25th. Okay, well, let's dive into this. Now, Dustin Cox, for those who don't remember, or if you weren't here for last Wednesday, he's on the board of directors for NNN. He's also the communications/PR director for NNN and is doing a great job in both departments. He actually knows what PR is about, what communications is all about, and does a great job. And he will be posting more and more through NNN. He had to get, for lack of a better term, he had to get the passwords or the control of the actual site to do his job. He has that now. And I noticed all of a sudden, out of NNN, we're getting post on top of post on top of post. So he's also in it for the right reason. And we appreciate Dustin very much, and we appreciate all that he's doing for us and for the community of naturism. So let's go ahead. Dustin Cox, the article he wrote about us, our show on Substack. And Lisa, we're at the part where it says, who's it for? Meaning our show, who's it for? If you wonder whether NNN might appeal to you, here are a few kinds of listeners who might especially enjoy it. And if you don't mind, why don't you go ahead and read those off?
I'll be happy to. So the people who might enjoy it include naturists and nudists who want to stay connected to NNN and the broader naturist community. Curious people who want to understand naturism beyond stereotypes. What motivates people, what makes it work or difficult, how it's practiced in different places. Advocates, scholars, and media folks interested in cultural practices, body positivity, freedom, ethics, etc. And anyone seeking community, belonging, or alternative perspectives on lifestyle, wellness, freedom of expression, and how we relate to our bodies and nature.
Well, there you go. Let's break each one of those down. Naturists and nudists who want to stay connected to NNN and the broader naturist community. Absolutely.
Yes.
We are not exclusively an NNN show. We should put that out there. We are their official podcast, and we promote them on every show. And we have their people on. We are their people, too. So even if we have no guests, we're still having NNN people on because we're both members as well. And we've never said no when they've asked directly, can I be on your show? The answer's always been yes. And sometimes through a third or fourth party, hey, what do you think about, why don't you call? Well, no, we'd rather they came to us. or we can go straight to them. But I don't want to get involved in the third or fourth party because then you never know the motivation or the intent of the actual person. Maybe they're getting their arm twisted behind the scenes.
It's very possible.
I don't want to go on the show. Well, I'll talk to Frank, and no, just come to us, and we'll get you on, or we'll reach out to you. But definitely a great way to stay connected to Anner because of all we do on the show for Anner. I mean, I hate to say this out loud, but I guess I'm going to.
Since when did anything stop you? No, go ahead.
That's true. Just in terms of content and let's just call it minutes, clock minutes, there's probably nobody who promotes Anner more than we do. And that's not bragging. That's not putting anybody else down. It's just we're doing 2 shows a week. We have posts on social media 7 days a week, and we're getting Anner out there all the time. Now, there are a lot of people doing a lot of things for Anner. Again, that's not to minimize anybody else, but we're doing it all of the time without fail every single week since July 1st of 2023. And then he also mentioned stay connected to Anner and the broader naturist community. That's right, Anner or not, if you're in the naturist community, want to be in the naturist community, you're thinking about it, we're probably the show for you. Any comments on his first bullet point?
And I think that one of the things when we first were privileged enough to become the official podcast of Anner, a lot of our international listeners, and we have tons of them, were concerned that we were going to become only an Anner show. So for us, it's important that we promote Anner, but we also keep a balance for that broader naturist community because, there are more naturists than in the U.S. out in the rest of the world. And so it's important. But one good thing that's come out of this is that we bring to a lot of people finally recognizing they are naturists. And then going, I didn't know Anner existed. And I didn't know a lot of these resorts existed. So they have come into the fold, basically, and quite a few of them have become Anner members. So that's an important part of this is to educate people on what is out there for them.
That's a very good point. I remember the interview I had with Alice from New Zealand. She's the president of the New Zealand Naturist Federation. And she was describing their life to a mutual friend of herself and her husband, some guy, who was big in the naturist community. And he said, well, why don't you guys just join, this particular club or New Zealand Naturist Federation, whatever it was. And she said, oh, no, that's not us. We're not naturists. And he said, well, no, what you described to me, you're naked all the time in the home. You walk around outside naked. You go to nude beaches. He goes, trust me, not an exact quote. I wasn't there, but trust me, you are naturist. You probably ought to join. And that was her first inkling of, wow, I guess we are. I never really thought of that. And so that happens to a lot of people, too. We've heard that from other people. Like, I just love being naked. I'm not a naturist. Well, hello. Yeah, it just might be, right?
You can stay in the confines of your home and be a naturist, and enjoy it just as much as anyone else. So, the enjoyment is being clothes free. So that's the important thing.
Remember that comedian? I think he's still out there, Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, yeah.
He always had that redneck, if you do this, that, or the other thing, you just might be a redneck, or whatever he said. Was that it, redneck?
Yes, you might be a redneck.
Okay. If you have, I shouldn't say anything because we'll get cards and letters, emails and direct messages. If you have a car on your front lawn on 2 wheels, pumped up by jacks in the back, well, you just might be a redneck. Those kind of jokes.
Yes.
Well, maybe we should start a series of jokes here. If you're always naked, like 25/8, you just might be a naturist.
That's it. Yeah, there's a bunch of those we could do, apparently. And unfortunately not as funny, but true. So, there's truth to them as opposed to being humorous. So that's, people are out there. I think they don't really know. They don't know who they are. They may feel guilty because they want to be naked. And so now all of a sudden they find out whole bunches of other people feel the way they do. So, if that's all we ever did on this show was to get that kind of awareness level to people who are out there who are confused or worried that they're not normal. Well, you are normal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. More normal than they knew.
Exactly.
And we get that a lot. And we haven't put a number to it yet. But people saying, well, we're not necessarily naturists, or maybe we are, we're not sure. But we're always naked inside the house. We just don't tell anybody. Tons of those people, but the community didn't know about because they don't talk about it. Well, there's, Bill and Jane down the street What a nice couple. Oh, well, not knowing Bill and Jane are naked 25/8 when they're inside their house. And so we reach out to those people as well. And the second bullet point, curious people who want to understand naturism beyond stereotypes, what motivates people, what makes it work or difficult, how it's practiced in different places. Right, because the stereotype is you're taking your clothes off, you're probably headed to an orgy of some type, have a nice weekend. That is beyond ridiculous, beyond untruthful. That's part of why we exist, to disabuse people of that. In fact, if that is your intent, you're not a naturist. You're some other things, whatever. Exhibitionist, swinger, different labels. I know you hate labels, but there are terms for that kind of behavior. We don't promote that here. What are your thoughts on his second bullet point?
I think it's very, very, very true, because it comes back to what we were talking about with the first bullet point, and that is that there are people out there who don't really understand that they are naturists, and they don't understand what naturism is. And we get an awful lot of people who say that, their family and their friends, that if they try to acknowledge that they are naturists, come back at them like, "Oh my gosh, you're one of those people? Oh
Yeah.
no, you don't really do that, do you?" And it's automatic back to that fear factor that we talked about, that fear of the unknown, that fear of, that sexual problem that people have, that they're so repressed in a lot of ways that they have to imagine it's everywhere. I don't know. That's maybe too psychological, but yeah, I think it's people who need to know what they're actually dealing with, what they actually are.
Yeah, and when they come here, and there are other places they can go as well, but here they learn, I love to be naked. I walk in my house, my clothes are off. Boy, am I ever a weirdo. But they come here and they realize, oh. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the ones who keep their clothes on who are actually a tad weird, whether they realize it or not. Because again, we were born naked. We were intended to be clothes free. Society put clothes on us. Oh, now I get it. Now I realize I want to be naked in my house. So there's a lot of that going on too, right?
It certainly isn't, there's, if you think about Jennifer, she grew up as a naturist,
Yeah.
so it was normal to her.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things she said that she's had a hard time with is how so many people look at it as so negative.
Yeah.
And she said it's not negative, it's positive, it's wonderful. But anyone who looks at her, and when she says she's been that way all of her life, they go, "Oh, that's just wrong." And
Yeah.
she just has no time for those people. And I'm with her.
That's true. The third, I better just move on from anything Jennifer has said before, because I'll have to pay the price later. The third bullet point, advocates, scholars, or media folks interested in cultural practices, body positivity, freedom, ethics, etc. Well, true. You want to know the true meaning behind it and find out exactly what's going on when we get together. Yeah, this is the place to come, because we explain that ourselves, but also through our guests, right?
Very much so. And I think anyone who's an advocate for this lifestyle needs to be vocal about it as much
Yeah.
as they can be. And, we understand with restraints from family and friends, but as much as you can be to speak about naturism in a positive light and in the correct light. And I think too, it would behoove a lot of people who are looking at, psychological things and cultural situations to actually promote and look into this in a different manner than they do. And media.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, I was shocked because we knew about this group that does rugby, and it's like a local rugby club. And every year they do naked rugby for charity, and which is great, and all the people having a good time. But what really blew me away was I saw the clip that was on the television and
Yeah.
showed all of them
Yeah.
on, and there was nothing wrong with it. There was no
Right.
censorship. There was no, oh my gosh, look at that, he's naked. There was just, hey, these guys did it for charity. Everybody had a great time, and that was the end of that. So we need media to get into it as well.
And that would be really nice. But of course, they're under pressure from the fashion community and the
Of
clothing
course.
and makeup communities. Hey, quit promoting that naked stuff. We got pants and shirts and dresses to sell. But that's part of why we're here too, is fighting the good fight.
Yes.
And his last bullet point, anyone seeking community, belonging, or alternative perspectives on lifestyle, wellness, freedom of expression, and how we relate to our bodies and nature. And that's a point we try to drive home from time to time. Maybe we should drive it home more often and more succinctly. If you are in your house naked 25/8, And we're telling you social naturism is great, and it is, because you have that instant bonding and your friendships are stronger. It's hard to explain unless you've actually gone for it. But you're thinking, well, I could never do that. I can't let people see me naked. That's okay. Don't ever force yourself to say, I don't want to be seen naked. I don't want to go to a naked beach, but Frank and Lisa said I should, so here I go. No,
Mm-hmm.
we don't ever say that. Do what you are comfortable doing. But we are saying if you venture out to a nudist resort or a nudist beach, you will find much more joy and a much more relaxing life and a lot less stress in your life. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And I think we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
that there are some aspects of the naturism community that seem to think that, if you're going to be a naturist, you have to show off your body. So you have to post and post and post photos, and that's not true. And I think that scares a lot of people away. I think it scares more women away than they want to preach body positivity, but then they're forcing them to do something they may not want to do. Let people be comfortable with what they want to do. And if that's, just going to the beach and not posting pictures on the internet, that's fine. If they don't even want to step out of their house, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is about how each individual enjoys naturism.
Mm-hmm.
And however you choose to enjoy it, that's what you should do.
Yeah, the old expression, you do you,
Exactly.
and that's the way to go. But we are saying, without question, if you do step out and if you do explore social naturism, you will find a relief and a joy and a pleasure that you've never experienced before. Because literally, not being funny here, but literally everything is stripped away. The stress, the hiding, the bobbing and weaving, the trying to outdo somebody or have them outdo you, all that's
Mm-hmm.
gone because there you are. You're naked as jaybirds, nothing to hide behind, right?
Nothing to hide behind it. I think the really good thing is that all of those stereotypes, as he mentioned, are fall away because you suddenly realize there a lot of people walk into this first time thinking, "Oh my gosh, is there some sexual component to this?" And if they go into a group, they realize no, there is not. If it's just people that happen to be undressed instead of dressed, but they're having a good time and they're not, doing anything but interacting in a very social and good manner.
That's right. Well, moving along, we're discussing the article by Dustin Cox that he wrote on our show, Naked Nudists and Naturists, for his Substack. He talked about some recent highlights from early September. He talks about episodes 121 and 122. Do you want to read the first one?
These episodes focus on the annual summer meeting and a robust listener mail session. Linda Weber and our president appears to talk in depth about what came out of the summer meeting.
All right. And yes, she did. We did that on purpose with great intent to let the world know what's going on. And that's a big part of our show, too, because of our reach and our constant being out there, every week. Now we have 2 new shows every week. We can inform people fairly quickly and fairly in depth in terms of what's going on. And we set that up with Linda to do just that. And because most people don't know, they don't pay attention. They just pay their, annual fee and whatever, go to a naked beach and call it good. We think you ought to know what's going on, whatever you're involved in, whether it's work or school or church or your family. And so that's a big part of what we do here. And the second bullet point under that, ongoing segments like listener emails, where the hosts respond to questions or stories from the audience. These anchor the podcast in the lived experiences of real people. And that's exactly why we do it. When these people write in, men, women, actual human beings, just like you, just like Lisa, just like myself, and we're just sharing stories. Like, here's what so-and-so from this state or this country is doing or is going through and has a question about. And then we give our, I don't want to say advice, but certainly we talk about it. We are not self-proclaimed experts on naturism. We're not psychologists or social workers, but we've lived life to its fullest, and we've had a lot of experiences. And that's why that segment is pretty popular as well. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do, and I think that we recognized early on that only our experiences are going to be dull and boring after a while. You can only say things so many times. The important thing is to hear the different viewpoints, and even though the actual issue might be the same, everyone comes at it from a different perspective or a different solution or a different, feeling about it. And I think that all of those things together just help everyone deal with things much better.
Yeah, very much so. And now the next part he gets into challenges and opportunities. As with all niche podcasts, you pronounce that niche or niche? What do you prefer?
I don't say niche.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if that's right or not. It could be my southern upbringing. I don't know, but I say niche.
All right. As with all niche podcasts, there are some tensions and opportunities. Now that struck me, that sentence, when I first read it, like, whoa, what? I'm not feeling any tension, but okay. But then he explains it very well.
He does.
Talks about perception and stigma. Naturism still faces misunderstanding. Yep, absolutely. We talk about that in almost every show. NNN has to balance being open and honest with protecting the dignity and privacy of participants, which we go out of our way to do, right?
Yes, we do. I mean, we always ask permission to read an email. We always ask permission to use their name. If they say no, we don't. If they say they don't want the email read, it's not read. We might reference something that they've said, but not refer back to the fact that it came from anyone. And if it's a valuable topic. So I think that, we all need our privacy. For the reason that we need our privacy. And everyone needs dignity. Everyone should be treated with that. So yeah, it's very important to us.
I think a lot of that comes from when we were in the corporate world for 150 years each, even though we're only 27. We want to point that out on every show as often as we can.
We packed a lot in.
Yeah, but we were in positions where we got a lot of information about a lot of people, and we could have destroyed a lot of people had we spread it around. Now, we also would have destroyed the companies. We would have destroyed ourselves eventually, because then nobody would have trusted us. And so I heard stories throughout my career that would just make your head spin. Like, what? They did that. He did that. His wife did that. And they would just come in and tell me, do you have a minute? Can I talk to you? Yeah, come on in. Thinking it was about the job. And I'm having trouble at home. And I just want, and then you'd hear stuff that you wouldn't hear in other places. And it's so ridiculous for me as far as protecting people's privacy. Where I live, there are some people who don't live here full time. They travel around. They have a second home maybe, or maybe this is their second home, depending. And they'll ask me to get their mail. So, okay. So when I'm walking the dogs, at night, I'll grab their mail. And I get home and I throw it in a bag, with their name on it. And when they get here, I go, oh, here's your mail. A lot of times, they don't do this so much anymore. But when I first started, they said, anything interesting in there? Anything I should be worried about? And I said, I didn't look. I said, that's just my training, my MO in life. I grab the mail, I throw it in the bag, and you might have a subpoena from the U.S. government or the IRS. I don't know. It could all be advertisements. I truly don't know. Yeah. And I remember this one guy thought, oh, come on, you must have given it a look. I said, no, I really didn't. That's just how I am and how I have been the last 150 years. Again, only being 27. Same with you, right? Being in HR, you probably heard it all.
Oh my gosh, again, where all the bodies are buried when you're in HR. And that means what the department heads and supervisors and CEOs and so forth have done. And so it is a very dangerous situation to be in, because one slip and you could, destroy a lot of things. So it's something you've had to always be cognizant about. And I remember there was a group of people that I was responsible for to keep them happy, because my focus was employee relations and recruiting. And the thing about it is, I had a group of like 600 nurses that needed to be kept happy. And so the CNO, who was fabulous, she said, hey, you need to figure out how they're going to trust you, because I want them to tell you what's going on the floor. I don't want you to tell me unless it affects the hospital reputation or patient. But you figure out what's wrong and fix it. And it took a while for me to be able to understand to get their trust, because they were notoriously not wanting to tell the truth. She wanted to know if there was a problem on the floor with the supervisor, and believe it or not, it worked. And they began to trust me, because it's that level of trust. And the fact that I never told anyone what they said to me.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Yes. And we bring that same level of understanding to this show. If you come to us, your story stays with us forever, unless we ask permission to talk about it on our show, and you say yes. We don't just throw stuff out there willy-nilly. Here's from Bill Smith in Arkansas, and he said, and Bill Smith is listening, hey, what? I can't
Yeah.
believe, oh, shoot, I can't believe they're reading that. My wife's going to kill me. No,
Yeah.
never. You come to
Yeah.
us, very safe place for that. And again, this is under challenges and opportunities. It's is how we presented it. The second one, reach versus intimacy. Growing bigger, meaning more listeners, more visibility, is great for advocacy and awareness, but there's always a risk of losing the closeness, authenticity, or safe space feel that loyal listeners value. Well, that's true. There's always that risk, and we're very cognizant of that, and we will never lose that here. We will never be bigger than any individual who listens to this show, right?
Never, the fact is that we grew bigger faster than we ever expected. We thought we'd have a great outreach, but the fact is that we got big, and I don't think that's changed in how we look at this, because we got big because that's what we were doing. We were giving that authenticity to people to say what they want, and that safe space so that they would feel that they could say it. And so, no, that's probably our core value here, is to keep that level of communication open with the people who listen to the show.
Yeah, and that's a very big part of what we do. We don't take that lightly,
Yeah.
and we make sure people understand that as well. So you're always safe here. And the last bullet point under challenges and opportunities, diversity. You can go ahead and read that one.
Naturists come from many backgrounds. Ensuring voices from different ages, geographies, cultures, and body types are represented would help strengthen the podcast's reach and relevance.
And we've done that to the best of our ability. We don't necessarily seek out people from a particular group, like, oh, we need one of these, we need two of those. But we do take everybody who comes in. And you want to be a part of the show, you want to be on the show, you want us to read a letter from you on the show, we'll do that. We never say no to that, right?
No, we certainly don't. And the one thing I think it's important is that naturists are everybody. Yeah. Naturism has no label as far as what cultural group they come from or whatever the dividing point is for different groups. And I think targeting, one group and then targeting another group doesn't actually work as well as just saying, hey, we're naturists. Who's out there is a naturist? We don't care who you are.
That's right.
Just, because we're everybody. And so, just because people don't want to take their clothes off doesn't mean it's not something that they would really enjoy. So I think we need to look at a bigger picture than what sometimes we do, because we get too fixated on things. So anybody, everybody, we love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, we don't seek particular groups or people because you're a part of a group, and we never turn anybody down. We want to make that clear as well.
Absolutely.
All right. And again, we're reading from the article by Dustin Cox on his Substack, all about us, about the show, Naked Nudists and Naturists. Let's take a break from that, and we'll get to part two of part two, if that makes any sense at all. And we'll get back to that in a moment. I did want to remind everybody, we are the official podcast of the American Association for Nude Recreation. Are you a member? If so, great. But if not, you can become one today. Just go to AANR.com. Follow the navigation to membership, and within moments, you will be a member, just like Lisa Monroe is and just like I am. How about that, Lisa? They can be one of us by, 5 minutes from now, right?
Absolutely. Just get on Anna's website and sign up, and you'll find that there are things that you will enjoy and learn from being part of Anna.
Oh, very much so. A lot of reading material out there for sure. Well, you're listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 128 today. We thank you for being with us. Our latest Wednesday extravaganza. Supposed to be on some Wednesdays. It's been every blasted Wednesday.
Yeah.
Our first Wednesday was July 31st. Today is October 1st, and we haven't missed a Wednesday yet. We have to miss a Wednesday once in a while just to keep our original promise intact, but we haven't done it yet. So here we are yet again on October 1st. I did want to get to this clip now from Dan and GABBY, and they have a podcast out there, and it's called The Naturist Vibe, and she goes by the name, GABBY, the Crowned Nudie. Well, there's a great name to give yourself, isn't it?
I like that.
And Dan Spears, Maker of Things. Well, that sounds good too. Why not?
Yes.
All right.
Creative type.
And their little blurb on the podcast says, join Gabby and Dan as they talk about ethical naturism and their own experiences in the nudist naturist world. And listening to a few shows, and I don't want to get too specific now, but they don't really hold anything back. They call it as they see it, and so they got our instant respect. Too many people out there, and this is one of my personal pet peeves. Everything is great, everything is wonderful, everything is terrific. You know, if you read 10 books, how were they? Oh, they were all great. Well, that's impossible. There has to be at least one of the 10 that was less than great, but we're caught up in that. Well, I don't want to offend anybody, don't want to take anybody off, so yeah, they were great. And we're not like that, and Dan and Gabby are not like that. They call it as they see it, so they got our instant respect. So let's go ahead, we'll talk about this a little more, and listen to the clip about their upcoming event from Dan and Gabby.
Hey, Naturist family, I'm Dan, maker of things.
And I'm Gabby, the Crown Nudie.
Hey, Gabby, we've been cooking up something major over at RK Underground. Tell the people what's going down.
Gladly. RK Underground is all about uplifting marginalized voices in naturism while welcoming everyone, allies included, to celebrate ethical naturism through music, art, and culture. And we're kicking things off with a night you do not want to miss.
Yeah, Saturday, October 25th, right here in Jersey City, New Jersey. It's B-Scars Live at Vanilla Skies.
This isn't just a concert, it's a movement. We're talking music, culture, and body freedom, all in one unforgettable night.
The show opens with the amazing Michelle DeAngelis, bringing those soulful, feel-good vibes.
Then get ready for B-Scars, the international Afrobeat sensation performing live. Plus, Naturism's own Sounds of Sirena and resident DJ who will keep the dance floor alive. And we have a special guest, DJ Shaq NYC from Roadblock Radio on 101.1 FM HD3, bringing more of the Afrobeats, dancehall, reggae, and soca vibes.
And if you're looking for that VIP experience, there'll be a pre-show dance performance, a meet and greet with B-Scars, premium swag, and more.
Naturism isn't just nudity. It's about respect, inclusion, and freedom. This night is for everybody, ready to celebrate body-positive culture.
Tickets are on sale now at humanitix.com. That's humanitix.com. Grab yours before they're gone.
Let's make history, Naturist fam. See you at Vanilla Skies. Bye!
And so there you go. We invite you to check it out and give it a listen. And perhaps if you're in the area or want to travel to the area, you can certainly do that. And the note they sent to us, Lisa said, we love for you, meaning us, to help us promote our upcoming concert. It's BSCARZ Live. I don't know. That's an individual. Is it BISCARS? Is it BSCARZ? I'm proving how uncool that I am not.
I think it is, but I'm not real sure either. But
okay. I should say how uncool I am because I don't know. But BSCARZ Live at Vanilla Skies on Saturday, October 25th in Jersey City. This is not just a concert. It's the first Naturist Afrobeats concert of its kind, blending culture, music, and ethical naturism into one unforgettable night. Here's what makes this event special. BSCARZ, headlining live with his unique Afrobeats sound, resident DJ sounds of Serena, keeping the vibe flowing, a celebration of ethical naturism community and body freedom where everybody is welcome, exclusive VIP perks including a pre-show dance performance, meet and greet with BSCARZ, premium swag, and more. Additional performers are being added to the lineup, and we'll be announcing each new performer as we get closer to the date. My only question, how are they going to get all this in one night? This should be like a month-long celebration, but it's set for October 25th. How about that?
And it sounds absolutely wonderful. We always wonder how we're going to get outreach. We talk about these different groups and stuff. But one of the big issues that I think we should address is bringing people in from different generations into Anna. And what better way to do that than this kind of event? Because these are we're 27 and a bit past who these people are, but uh, but the fact is that they are probably incredibly well known within a certain group, and so go for it, people. And this is wonderful. And the fact that people can go there and be in their naturist self and enjoy this is fantastic. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun for them.
Yeah, I do too. And I'll try to get a little cooler by next week and find out what BSCARZ is. What he means by that. Is that his name? Do you pronounce it as a name? Does it stand for something? Is it an acronym? Again, going out on a limb, showing how uncool I truly am, but I'll do my best to get that together next week. Is that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. And you're a little cooler than you think, but that's
All right.
okay.
Well, that's what I tell people. I don't know if anybody believes me, but I try every once in a while. And, so we invite you to support them, Dan and Gabby, Gabby and Dan. I'll say it both ways so I don't get in trouble with them.
Good.
Their big event, October 25th. From the RK Underground. That's their company, their business, I believe. And we'll talk more about that on coming shows between now and then. Okay, so let's get back to the article by Dustin Cox. He's on the Anner board, Anner West. He's a board of directors. He is their communications and PR person and does a great job. Actually does PR and communications at a very high level. A lot of people could learn how to do communications and PR from him. And he does have a communications degree with I believe he specialized in journalism, or that was part of the major. And so we're reading that article he wrote about us, our show, Naked Nudists and Naturists. And the next headline in his article, how to tune in, how to get involved. If you want to listen, here's how. And you want to take that for a while.
Episodes drop every Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time and Wednesday at noon Eastern Time. Platforms include Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other usual podcast services. The show has a Patreon for supporters. They have given up paid work to bring the NNN podcast to listeners weekly. Patreon support helps tie up those loose ends. There is also merchandise through the NNN shop, and membership in AANR is encouraged, both for those who want to support nature's activities and those who want more community or access to nature's resources.
Yeah, very well said. Yes, we did give up paid work to do this show for free. And I found that out when I went to the grocery store. I went to pay, and I said, I don't have any money because I gave up getting money to do this naked show. Could I give you a hard drive with all of our shows? And they said, security, can you escort this man out? So that didn't work out too well. But yes, we gave up paid work to do this show. We did it on purpose because of our love for naturism and our belief that it's to be enjoyed by everybody. So we're spreading the joy, literally, spreading the joy of naturism, and no regrets at all. We enjoy what we're doing. That's why we doubled the efforts. One show a week wasn't enough. Why don't we do two? And who knows, before we're done, maybe 8 days a week, we'll be pumping out episodes. How about that?
Well, I'm going to say, if you decide to suggest a third show, you and I are going to have a chat. We're having enough fun now. And I do want to say one other thing. He talked about membership in Anner because that is, part of his thing as well, because he's such a part of Anner. But remember, those of you who don't live in the U.S. or a little bit of Canada that's part of Anner, you have organizations like this within your areas and your countries, and becoming part, even though you have a little bit easier time being a naturist in many parts of the world, it's still important to be part of that organization, and that helps bring other people in. So this is not just a U.S. thing. This is a global thing. And there are communities out there, organizations to help.
Yeah, very well said. And he mentioned we do have a Patreon page, and we do ask people to support that. You can certainly give $5 trillion in one check if you want to. We will accept that and say thank you. You can also give the minimum amount or anything in between. Whatever you can give, we appreciate it. Keeps the show going because we're working I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We're working our fannies off around here. Yes. People in Great Britain just had a mild stroke, but you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Have some water. You'll be back to normal in no time. Exactly. Fanny in the U.S. means your backside, your rear end, so we mean nothing inappropriate by that. And we also have the merchandise shop, which we talk about on every Saturday. We don't talk about that on Wednesday. We don't want to get redundant or just keep pushing things. But there is a merchandise shop that Lisa does all by herself, thank goodness. And we do encourage membership in Anner as well, because there's a lot more information out there. We're not some people call us the voice of naturism. We're not the voice, we're a voice. many voices out there in speaking form, video form, written form, and you can get access to most of that and almost all of it, maybe all of it, on the Anna website. Okay, his next point, what first-time listeners can expect. So you've never heard our show before? Well, I guess you're hearing it now, but what first-time listeners can expect, well, why don't you take it from there and read those bullet points?
You can expect friendly conversational tone. Hosts Frank and Lisa make the podcast approachable, whether you're a seasoned naturist or just curious. A community voice. Regular segments highlight listener questions, emails, and experiences, making it feel like an interactive community space. A mix of serious and lighthearted topics, from policy and Anna updates to personal stories. The show balances advocacy with fun, everyday naturist life. 2 episodes weekly. Saturday mornings often feature interviews or deeper dives, while Wednesday shows lean into casual chat with listener interaction.
Yeah, very well said. Now, the friendly conversational tone, should I put out there that, you yell at me and cuss me out before every show, not so friendly, or should I leave that out?
I think you should leave that out since it's not true. Good heavens.
No.
You make people think I'm mean.
No, not true at all. I was just attempting to be funny and silly and humorous. But
I know.
Yeah, no. A friendly conversational tone, right. And that's us. That's how we conduct ourselves as people. That's how we conducted ourselves in the corporate world. It's how we conduct ourselves here. Because if we're not friendly or conversational, people will get nervous, a little upset, I'm not sure, a little uncomfortable. And then you might not listen. Then you're going to miss some great information on naturism. And that's, I guarantee I wasn't there when you did HR work. But that's how you approach people. You don't say, get your rear end in here, and by golly, you're going to say, hey, why don't we sit down and have a talk, and we'll work things out that way. That's really the best way, isn't it?
It's the only way, I think, because the second that you use a tone that you shouldn't use, or a phrase that you shouldn't use, and you set people up as defensive. And the worst thing you can do, you can't talk to a defensive person. If someone is, already figuring they're in trouble and they're going to start trying to make excuses, guess what? Then nothing's going to come of that, and except some decisions probably that neither person wants to make. So, yeah, you need to be, it's conversational, I think, is what people need to understand. You don't have to be best buddies with someone that you're having a conversation with, but you need to make certain that you are, as he said, approachable, and you're able to communicate together.
Yeah, and as he said, we make it approachable, whether you're a seasoned naturist or just curious. So if you've never tried this, if you've been naked 253 years, anything in between, we make it approachable. And it really sounds, the more I read this, and I've said this before, it sounds like we wrote it and said, here, Dustin, put your name on it and get it out there, and we'll read it on the show and give you some publicity. No, it didn't happen that way at all. Dustin wrote this on his own. He didn't ask permission. He didn't ask for notes. Hey, I'm going to write an article about you. Why don't you send me this? He just did it. And I found it by accident on Blue Sky. Our show and he follow each other. And it popped up in the feed. I thought, oh, that's nice. An article about, whoa, what? Us? Okay. And that's how that all evolved. But we're very grateful to Dustin for doing this. And we promote him just as heavily because he really is great at what he does. Again, easy for us to say after this article on us, but we were saying that even before this article came out, right?
We were. And one thing I think that's important here for us to say is that one of the reasons we felt necessary to talk about this article was how he captured what we were thinking about how we wanted this show to be. And unbeknownst to us, he was hearing what we hoped we were putting out. And then he brought that to the forefront. And it's important to us because this kind of validates who we are and what we were trying to do. And so we're incredibly appreciative. And I will tell you this, he writes an amazing article. This is for us. We know this is how we felt. So the other articles that he writes, I think, are really well thought out and kind of hit the nerve of what's going on. And so we encourage you to read his Substack.
Oh, yeah. And he's another guy who holds nothing back. What's on his mind, his heart, he puts out there in writing. He does a very good job. And he talked about, regular segments, highlight listener questions, emails, and experiences. And here's the big one, making it feel like an interactive community space. Now, we had hoped for that. That was one of our goals early on. And we discovered we hit the mark during that first 6 months of the show. We started July 1st of 23, and we had mapped out our schedule for the rest of 2023. We were definitely taking off the Saturday, 2 days after Thanksgiving. That's a U.S. holiday. We were definitely taking off the Saturdays around Christmas and New Year's, at least 2 of them, maybe 3. And we announced that. And at some point, the flood of emails came in. Could you please not take those days off, even if it has to be a shortened show, because you've become very important to us. And some people said, I'm going to be all alone on Thanksgiving. I'm going to be all alone on Christmas. I only have you. Could you please do a show? And that's when we realized, okay. We've entered a different area, community space. People rely on us. They're waiting for us. And we feel and have felt for all that time the need to deliver to the community, right?
Very much so. I think, it's just natural for people to become attached to the voices that they hear that are giving them the information that they want. Let's think about the, podcasts or the radio shows that the give and take, callers type radio shows that we get involved with. And, or, when those people are not on, it's like, oh my gosh, there's no show this week. It's not good. Mm-hmm. Or even just the simple matter of if you live in one community and you're used to the local weather guy and you move to another community and it's not the same weather guy. I find myself sometimes going back to the old weather guy just to get a fact because, I appreciated what he did and how good he was. So I think it's important for that kind of connection to happen. And the fact that it did kind of surprised us in one way, but not in another. But how quickly we got there was a real shock to us.
Yeah. And I mentioned before, I've been listening to talk radio since I was probably 5. Mm-hmm. Literally, not kidding or exaggerating. I wasn't one of these guys listening to music, even though I went on to get 2 degrees in music, and that's a big part of my life. I was into talk radio more than music radio. And my favorite people on the radio every year took off at least 2 weeks around Christmas. And so as a kid, you're home for 2 weeks at Christmas usually. You're home from school, and I couldn't hear my favorite people. I thought, well, I'm just getting ripped off here. This is not right. Can't they take 2 weeks off in August and just give me what I need while I'm home to listen even more? And so I never forgot that. And so we're in that situation now. Yeah, sure, we could take, it's all about us. We're going to take 2 weeks off. Have a nice Christmas. Bye. And somebody's out there thinking, well, it's not going to be a nice Christmas because I'm all alone. And now you guys have deserted me. So we take that very seriously. Interactive community space. And his mix of serious and lighthearted topics, from policy and ANNR updates. Definitely, that's the serious part, and the more lighthearted. Personal stories, we balance advocacy with fun, everyday naturist life, because being a naturist is fun. It takes the stress away. We're living the life. I can't remember the last time. Well, actually, I can, but I'll pretend like I can't. I can't remember the last time you got mad at me for anything, because we just have so much fun around here, right?
This is true. I'm trying not to remember that either, but but the fact is that does not happen very often, and never to the extent that things are really bad. But I think it's important that I think the communication of our communication level makes it easier for people to listen to us and feel comfortable with it. And so that's, what we strive for is, and the fact is that we just try to be who we are. And, we don't try to be anything but, and I don't know how to be anything but. And I was not raised to, pretentiousness is the one thing that I probably despise more than anything. So we try not to be that. And if I ever am, everyone has the, they can smack me around if I ever had. It seems to happen because that's my pet peeve.
All right. Well, what are you doing after the show? No, I'm just kidding. Just tended to be humorous. A little tee-hee there. We're just kidding.
Yes, we'll see about that. Go ahead.
We do joke a lot around here. That's a big part of what we do. And some of that comes through on the show, with intention. Some of it slips out every once in a while. But behind the scenes, it's just like, I don't want to say a nonstop laugh fest, but it's pretty close, isn't it?
It certainly is. And I think that's because when we, the people that are around here are a whole lot like us in that they love naturism. They enjoy themselves. They're not overly impressed with themselves. that there is no pretentiousness, and everyone's just having a good time, and that's part of life. If you don't laugh, what good do you have? You gotta laugh, and so I think we've achieved that, and I hope it comes through on the show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I believe it does because even Dustin put it out there without checking with us. That's just what he came up with on his own.
Right.
And then he did mention 2 episodes a week, Saturday mornings. We have interviews, so we've had an interview on every Saturday. We're purposely not having interviews at all on Wednesday shows because that allows more time for what we're doing today. And then, Lisa, if you don't mind, there's a final paragraph there where he summarizes his whole report. Could you go ahead and read that?
The Naked Nudists and Naturist podcast does more than scratch the surface. It peels back assumptions, invites listeners in, and builds a bridge between the naturist community and the curious outsider. Whether you're someone already comfortable hiking naturist trails or someone who's been wondering what naturism is all about, the show offers something meaningful, honesty, warmth, and a space to reflect on what it means to live close-free in the broadest sense.
Yeah, very well said. And we appreciate Dustin Cox very much. Links are in the show notes. We invite you to subscribe to his page. It's free. You have to subscribe to get in. I think maybe you don't have to subscribe to get in, but if you subscribe, you're notified. Is that how that works?
I think so. Or there may be some other extra perks. I don't know that go with it, but as far as I know, free can get you into these articles.
Yeah, and he's just beginning his journey with being a voice within Anner. He's been out there in the background. Now he's taking more of a leadership role. So looking forward to bigger and better things from Dustin Cox.
Absolutely, and I think that anyone, he got who we felt we were, and he never asked us anything. He just got that, and I think that he's going to be that way about every topic that he writes about. He's going to get to the core of what each of these subjects are, and I think his perceptions and his opinions are well worth noting on any subject that he does.
Yeah, very much so. You're right. Whatever he writes on, it's right to the heart and right to the core. And again, we appreciate Dustin Cox very much. Well, Lisa, when we decided to start these Wednesday shows, we thought we'll stick around 30 minutes or so, just a little brief, hit in the middle of the week. We are now over, by the time everything is said and done, over an hour today. So not only did we go over the 30 minutes, we've gone over the Saturday limit. How in the world did we do that?
I don't know, but we did talk a lot, I guess. and this was, I think, this was important to both of us because, it is about this show and about us in a way. And so, again, we're trying not to have any pretensions about what's happening. But I think that it's important because we felt this is what people wanted to hear, what they needed. And that was the validation that it's okay to be a naturist. And I think we've gotten to that point, and we've pulled a lot of people who weren't feeling that way into naturism, and some of them just hit the ground running and they haven't stopped. Yeah. And that's a wonderful thing. We feel that from them. We feel that energy coming, but we also feel the pain and the confusion and the disappointment that a lot of people have too when they can't achieve what they want. So, we hope that we can give that to them and help in any way we can.
Yep. Well, again, thank you to Dustin Cox. Thank you to Dan and Gabby of the Naturist Vibe. Check out their show as well, in RK Underground, their big event on October 25th. And Lisa Monroe, with that, go out there and have a great close-free few days, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone have a great rest of the week, and Saturday morning comes pretty early, 6 a.m. We'll see you there.
Sounds good. The very terrific Lisa Monroe does a whole bunch around here, runs our website 100% all by herself, runs the merchandise all by herself, thank goodness for both. Helps with the Patreon page, creates those memes that you see on social media on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, brings joy to the studio every time she comes in to do these segments on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and we thank Lisa Monroe very much. We also, of course, want to thank Dustin Cox. What a terrific article, very well written, irrespective of who it is. It just happens to be us this time. But well-written article, very talented writer in general. Whatever he writes about, he's right on the money. His words flow in such a way you can feel what he was feeling when he wrote it. A very professional guy, a professional writer, and we appreciate him very much. We encourage you to check out his Substack. The link in our show notes ready to go for you. And he's also a current board member for Naturist, doing a terrific job out there. He was recently appointed as the communications director. And if you want to know how to do PR, if you want to know how to do communications and marketing, Dustin Cox is your guy. Very professional, does a terrific job. And if you notice from Naturist, all kinds of meaningful posts are coming out on social media. And again, we appreciate Dustin Cox very much. And we encourage you to check out Dan and Gabby, the RK Underground, the big event coming up at the end of this month, October 25th. And also check out their podcast, The Naturist Vibe. And we're looking for bigger and better things from Dan and Gabby. And don't forget to come back on this coming Saturday, just a few days from now, episode 129. Our guest will be Andrea. She is a member of Women in Nude Recreation. She's part of the WOW Campaign 2025. She has been through a lot in her life, a lot of not so good stuff, a lot of good stuff too, but a lot of not good stuff. But now it's all good. She found a way out of the bad stuff and into more good stuff. And I think you'll be very inspired by the story from Andrea, again, from WOW Campaign 2025. Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 128 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked, Nudists, and Naturist.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked, Nudists, and Naturist. Have a great clothes-free day.